how uniform resource locators work, and more specifically, how URLs work. So I have always been talking about URLs, and uniform resource locators and just tagging it. Welcome, Luann. Good evening. And I've just been letting people know about this, and it got to a point where I just felt like instead of me just mentioning it, let me talk about it and then let's break it down so that when you now complete that full 360 to your website or to anything that you're creating, it will make more sense when you're actually deciding to look at your URLs, and you'll see them differently. I look at this from the same lens of if, let's say, you are watching a movie and you've directed a movie before or you've done a script before. That's something I've done with screenwriting and screenplay writing. So I know when I watch a movie and I'm looking at how movies are, the shots, you can be just watching a movie, but I could be watching a movie and I can see the shots, I can see the wide shots, the lens, the takes, the cuts, the B-roll, because I'm also into media and communication. So I also know about that. I have a background in that. So when I look at visual, audio, visual, and look at everything around it, it makes sense when you're adding all these things up together. So when you're looking at frames per second, when you're looking at lenses, when you're looking at dimensions, pixels, whatever you want to call it, it also plays a big role into how it's seen on a document type. And using URLs is really where everything comes to play. So I just figured that why not bring a room like this to discuss this at length so that if you have a question about anything, we can just make sure that it's understood. So when I ever bring this word up again in a room or any type of conversation, you understand what it means and you also understand what it does. So we're going to literally have like a quick school of thought, and then we'll break it down even more so that if you have any questions about this, we can talk about it. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that you're spending time today in this room. Now, there's a website I just want to tell you guys to check out so that as I'm talking about this, you can also do your research. I just want you to listen, but also take notes, take action, do your research. Don't just stop here. There's a website called http.dev. I'll say it again, http.dev. And if you go to that website, it will tell you a lot. Now, specifically, go to http.dev/URL. When you go to that specific page, which I've put in the chat, which is https://http.dev/URL, it's going to tell you more details, and we're going to cover this so that you can also see it for yourself. So do your research, get to know about these things. I always like to give you links that you can take home, because it's not just listening to me, it's also looking at it visually for yourself and also seeing what I'm seeing. So when you hear the way I'm saying it, it makes sense because you can visualize and see the perspective and make your own, decision too. So I want this to be clear for everyone. Welcome, Jasmine. Good to see you as well. LA Spanish, thank you for being here too. And I'm excited we're going to be talking about this discussion today. So to kick this off, when I always talk about URLs, I always say that URLs are technically the keys to your web pages, not even your websites, because your website is one, unless you have multiple websites, but you have one website, right? One domain. So a URL is the key to your web pages, and Google ranks web pages. Microsoft ranks web pages. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Manus, Grok, they cite web pages. So the whole point of having a web page is to have a URL. And the whole point of using a URL is to point somebody in a direction that contextually connects with their search. If I'm looking for chicken recipes and someone else is looking for cookie recipes, Those are two different types of recipes or two different types of results. Yes, the word recipes would be in there, which should be counted as a rich result because it's rich text. And that's also what happens on Pinterest. When you think about rich text is recipes. Those are things that are actively linked. Those are shopping items that you can actually click on. Those are things that are rich in nature. So when they're rich, it's because they have more context. It's not just a link. There's actually a purchasing intent behind it. And that also comes in form of a URL, right? If you have a website and you have a URL, the URL is going to be your domain / welcome summer, your link. So imagine if you had a website and your website says example.com, that's your homepage. Appreciate the love, Soma. And then another page could be example.com / about, right? And then the third page would be example.com / copy - about. And then page 4 would be example.com / copy - about - 2. What you've just done is you've duplicated one page, and that has created 3 new URLs, right? And if you duplicated the page 3 times, welcome peace, then that means you have 3 URLs on top of the original. So if you had an about page and you duplicated that about page 3 times, now you have 4 links, and it's going to say your website / what I've just said -3 -4. So it will keep duplicating like that. And when it keeps duplicating and you don't change the URL, you are technically telling the website, or you're technically telling the search engines that this URL right here is this. And because it's this, that's what it takes. And now when it takes that, you can't blame the algorithm for not giving you the direct traffic you're needing because the URL is not even tagging or connected to the search that somebody is typing on their keyboard. Nobody's typing copy about to on Google. People are looking for information about recipes. So if your URL doesn't have the word recipe in the pathway, then how do you expect someone to find you on the pathway? This is literally black and white. It's ones and zeros, zeros and ones. So if somebody is supposed to find your URL, then your URL needs to be specifically located or connected to that domain. That's why everybody has a website, but everybody can have the same URL. So if we all do the same thing and say cooking recipe, cooking recipe, cooking recipe, those are 3 domains. So it could be abc.com / cooking recipe, and then defg.com / cooking recipe, and then hijkl / cooking recipe. Now, all of us have cooking recipes. So who is Google going to rank first? If we all have the same cooking recipe, that's where the URL comes to play. That's where that URL comes to play. Welcome, K. Patrice. It has a big role to play there because when you have those URLs, it tells Google exactly who your website is and what your website is about. If you don't have those URLs, you can't explain further. It's like kind of like saying, do you have, what's your identity? What's your name? And you can't say your name. If you say you can't say your name, then it's hard for someone to identify you by name. So if you have a URL, it's a name. It's a name. It's like when you name a child, when you name a product, when you name a person, when you name a thing. When Adam named the animals, it was because it was a name that was given. That's the name you're addressed by, right? Dress how you want to be addressed. So if you have a name and that name is your website.com / this - that, then that's because you're creating content that's going to allow someone to be more connected back to your site. So if somebody goes to Google or ChatGPT or goes to any type of search and says, hey, I'm looking for this, cooking recipes. Okay, it's going to give you all the cooking recipes. You might find a Yelp link. You might find a Forbes link from somebody who was featured. You might find a restaurant link. You might find something connected to a recipe. It might be a recipe book. I'm just giving you an example so you can see how important a URL is, because a URL is a uniform resource locator. So when we create URLs on our website, it's not just to be fancy. It's not just to have pages on the site. The goal is to achieve the goal of finding someone who is going to search for something that is as specific as it was written in the form of a uniform resource locator, that it can match back when somebody looks on Google or asks Siri or asks Alexa. That's how you're able to connect these dots. I always talk about URLs, pages, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I need to really break this down so that when I say it again, it makes sense, because it wouldn't make sense to have a one-way conversation. It's not fair. So I want to make sure that it's understood, it's plainly seen, so that when you're able to look at it from your website, you know, okay, if I have this in my URL, then that means that one day someone's going to search for something and they're going to find my URL. What's going to make my URL stand out is what shows up on the meta titles, right? Because your URL is just the link, but the title is what people click. So if people are clicking on a link on Google, they're clicking on a link that's leading them to a website which has a web page that includes your link, which is your URL. So I'll break down what that means, because I want to give you guys by definition what a URL actually is and where it's sourced from. So Jasmine, Celeste, we'd love to hear from y'all. Good evening. Thanks for being here. How are you? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Hey, Favour. Hey, Celeste. I have a question. I actually have two questions. But my first question is, when you were talking about like the about page and the home page, so should we not have like about? Should we have something else, or should we not have like our domain / like homepage? Is that like not a good use of that real estate? Is that what I'm understanding from what you said?
Great question, Jasmine. So when I mentioned the about, it was an example so that if you look at other pages on your site, you can also see what it is when you're looking for it in a library. So let's say you go to a library and you're looking for history books or science books or nonfiction books or Christian books or children book, whatever type of book you're looking for, you're going to go to that aisle in that library because you're within a section of the library that has books that actually answer your query or answer your inquiry or answer what you came in for. So when I use the about, you can do that. When you have a website, it would be your website.com/about. Now, if you leave it at that, that's fine because it's your about page. But let's say you have about team or about person or about company or about product. Now you have different about sections and they're no longer duplicate copies. These are identification copies or identical copies that match a same domain, but they simultaneously support each other. So instead of having your website.com/copy-about, and then another page would be copy-about-2, and then another would be copy-about-3. Those are three different pages that are talking about three different about pages, but by the URL, it looks like it's one, but it also looks like a duplicate. And then the URL itself is not identifying exactly what people are searching for. So if now Google indexes your website on Search Console, and because the Search Console is the internet service provider for Google, right? So if you submit your page to Google and say, hey, Google, here's my link, and then that link says copy-about, and you already have an about page, Google does not know which page you're talking about. It doesn't know whether it's page 1 or page 2. So you have to identify it based on the URL so that when the page is now saying about team or about location or about product or about person, then that person's name or that business name or that product name is what people will search on Google and say, I want to learn more about this product, or I want to learn more about this company. And then the about section comes up on the site and not the homepage, because the homepage is where everybody lands on if they just type your domain.com. But if people are searching on Google or Alexa or Search GPT or any type of product or type of tool, they're going to be searching for something specific. So your homepage will not show up in the search results unless someone's searching for your company name, and then they can see all your pages. That's normal. But if they're looking for something specific and it's across the board, it's decentralized, then it's now going to be based on who has that URL that's going to match the search intent. Does that make sense, Jasmine?
It does. Can I ask a follow-up question?
What's up,
Oh,
Celeste?
really quick. I wanted to make sure, 'cause I like your question, but I want to make sure everybody understands your homepage. You cannot customize that URL. It's automatically just your main domain. So your mybusinessname.com. It automatically goes to your homepage. I just wanted to put that in there. But great answer, Favour.
Oh, that's very useful. Thank you. So my follow-up question was, like, instead of doing about, would it make more sense, because my domain isn't my name, would it make more sense for me to have about and then Jasmine Renee? So then when people search for my name, would that help with pulling that page up?
There you go. That's the answer. Because when they search for your name, the reason why someone searches for your name on Google and you get a Facebook result, a LinkedIn result, a TikTok result, or whatever type of social media you're on, if you're featured on a magazine or featured on a news article, your name shows up technically because your name is in the URL. If you search somebody's name now and you see it on Wikipedia, it's because in Wikipedia, that is a URL. So if someone's going to search your name, then you want to have your name in the URL so that it matches the search intent on the search operator, which is Google or any other search engine. Does that help, Jasmine?
It does. That was very useful. Thank you.
Questions. Guys, if you have a question, please put it in the chat. Feel free to come on stage. Let's talk about it. Celeste, what are your thoughts on this when you think about URLs? Because I feel like it's underrated. People don't talk about it much. And I felt like let's really dig deep into this so that when people see their websites, they don't just look at the web page, but also look at the actual naming convention.
Yes, this is such a good topic. So, hey, everybody. Favour, what you doing up so late? But this is perfect time for me. When I saw this late room, I'm like, okay, Favour trying to capitalize on the night crew. I love it. So, to me, this, along with updating your meta titles, which I know, we won't get into that, but customizing your URLs for all your pages and updating your meta titles, to me, are the two most underutilized things in the SEO world, in the digital marketing space, because it is like such a low level thing to do, y'all. That paired with a little keyword research could really take you places you never thought you could go. So please lean into this and take some notes. Another thing which I would encourage everybody in the audience to do, if you have a business, whether it's service or product based, I want you to go on Google and look and search, like, whatever someone would put in to find you if they didn't know you, right? You are usually going to see a lot of people that are ranking really high. And guess what? The keywords that you put in are right in the pages that are ranking in the subdomain, is what I call it. The sub URL, let's call it that. So it's www.mybusiness.com/best CMOS, whatever, I mean, I have literally done, I wish I could quantify, but over 100 different businesses. I've researched, different keywords and different strategies, and this one comes up over and over and over. It's actually how a lot of big businesses like Yelp, for example, if you, see Yelp ranking, it's never Yelp.com. It's usually Yelp.com/ whatever keywords you just put in to search, to see Yelp popping up. They've been doing this for over a decade. That is their strategy on how they're able to basically get everybody's money. And they basically learn organic SEO strategies, and then they charge people to basically rent that real estate on their site because they don't know about these strategies. So thank Favour in advance, because I'm telling you, I have seen firsthand people go from 0 to 100 just by simply customizing their URL. So love that you're talking about this. I will go on mute and pass it back to you, Favour, but love this.
Thank you, Celeste. I'm glad we are really diving deep into this because it makes sense when somebody sees their URL, and it makes a lot of sense for their tag. We think about it too, and if I was to match a URL or to make an analogy of a URL, it would be your username on Instagram or your username tag on TikTok. When you search at your name on Instagram, someone can find you because that's the exact tag name. If someone's looking for you on a PlayStation Network, on Xbox, or let's say you use Apple Music, because Apple Music also you can create a username, right? I'll say not Shopify, Spotify. You're using these different platforms that have user tags, right? Let's say you're on Discord. You're using different tags, Telegram, right? These are tags that are going to be identified with you. So these are the same URL types or formats that websites use to identify pages, if you're going to use that same analogy, because I really want this to hit home so that when you are looking at your websites again, you think again about how websites show up consistently without paying for any type of ad and still get money. Yelp is actually interesting. Yelp, I'm 100% sure that Yelp probably doesn't run ads as much as they advertise for you to run ads for your business. If you look at the ratio, they are already ranking organically for top restaurants, top this, top that, because they've organically done the footwork. When you're looking for restaurants or looking for something, you will always find a Yelp link. Always. At least 9 times out of 10, you may find one. And that's because they have done their footwork. They've been able to have their online footwork, which means they've taken the internet and actually created content for people to find, because these are pages that people are on. And what do you see? It's listicles. It's number 1, 2, 3, all the way through 10. And there you go. That's your page. They're not doing much, but they're telling you information that you can now do research on. And then behind those are reviews, their website pages, their backlinks, all kinds of things are going on. So when I do look at the structure and the infrastructure of it, it's just top tier, because they did exactly how it's supposed to be done. So you can't knock them, because that's actually the blueprint. But a lot of us don't look at that and think, oh, why is that happening? That's the way it works. So a URL is not by happenstance. You have to create the link so that that link becomes the actual uniform resource locator that actually puts you in the position to answer a question in the form of a query that was put in a search operator by a search engine from a search bot. So when you look at everything that is interconnected, you're able to now understand, okay, people search from this end to this end. How do you retrieve? How do you cite? How do you mark? How do you highlight? How do you hyperlink? That's why when you have a website and you have an article, you write an article, and that article has no head or tail. It has no internal, external link. It has no canonical tags. It has no anchor text. It has no thought into it. It's going to be hard for the algorithm to even match out or to give you that representation long term if you're thinking about how you want that to also rank for you in your business, for your business. So these are things to consider when you're creating a website. So when you have a website and you have 5 pages on your site, all these pages are going to matter. And it's not just your URL. You know why? Because if it's just your URL, then everybody would be winning, right? Now the URL is just the destination, right? When you get to a destination, you do something. When you drive somewhere, you do something, right? So it's not just creating content because you have to put out information. That URL is something that when you create, you're creating a URL that eventually someone can find. And they can find it in an email that you send. They could find it in a podcast that you link in your show notes. They could find it in a blog that you publish, which would be in that form of links that you can, interlink in between. You're also thinking about it long term on how you can also build your asset, right? Because you're thinking, okay, if this is how I'm going to get this done, then let me put it this way so that I'm able to also be part of something that can grow long term for me and my business. So if you want to grow locally and you have a business and you have a local store and you don't have the city or state or zip code or county or province for those who are outside the US in your URL for your domain, then it will be hard for businesses to find you when they're trying to match up to other websites like yours. And Jasmine, you asked highlight, what does that mean? So when I meant highlight, I meant in the form of when you are, I would even put it in this way. Let me even use the technical term for it, which would be hyperlink. Because when I think about a highlight, if you're writing something, let's say you write an email, it's in black ink or it's in black text or it's in black font. And then when you hyperlink, you're highlighting that text and you're creating an anchor text, which is the text that is being written to now be covered by a link that's going to be in support of that text. So let's say I say, or here are your top 10 digital marketing strategies for 2026. And then I highlight digital marketing strategies. And then I hyperlink and I put my URL, which is domain.com/blog/digital-marketing-strategies-2026. Don't do 2026, by the way, because when you put 2026 there, you're kind of putting yourself back. And I said that intentionally so that you know that you don't do that. Because if you do 2026, that means by 2027, that page will be irrelevant. The only reason why you'd put a 2026 is only if you're doing a report, or if you're doing a study, or if you're doing something that's going to be archived within that year. But if it's news, updates, do that too. But if it's based on evergreen content, don't put 2026, because people are not going to look for digital marketing strategies 2026 in 2028. So you want to keep that number off your domain, off your URL, but you want to put that 2026 in the meta title, right? So when you think about your hyperlink and you have digital-marketing-strategies, then you can highlight that text and then someone can click on that text and that text will now link them to your website, that's where your web page would be. So when you do that consistently, it changes everything and it gives you a whole new meaning, because now someone's clicking on that link, and let's say you have an email and you're tagging them, which means if somebody clicks digital marketing strategies and you've segmented that email and say whoever clicks on this email or opens this link or clicks this link in this email, they're going to be automatically added to a segment, and that segment would be digital marketing strategies. So I know out of 100 people, 5 people are interested in digital marketing strategies. Those 5 people will be in a segment. So I can now create more content for those 5 people, and I'm able to create more links so that the 5 people will learn more about what they clicked on the first time. Because nobody that clicks on something the first time gets it the first time. You might get it, but you need to get it. Like you need to actually double down on it. And then eventually you'll be like, okay, got it. Bet. That way, it changes the way you actually process it so that that link is also transcoded, it's transcribed, it's transmitted, and it's transferred, which is HTTPS, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, with an S for secure. It allows your business to actually show up on search engines so that you're actually showing up for the right reasons and you're not just showing up because you have a website. So that's how things change like that as well. Celeste, what are your thoughts on that, especially when it comes to locations and tagging?
Listen, okay, you're giving away all the sauce that people pay a lot of money for. You know what's funny is I had an accident. I kind of cost someone a client because I know this agency and I kind of peeped like their strategy, but literally all they do is make location pages. A lot of times when you hire, and I'm not talking about Favour here, so don't worry about that. But when you hire like these, Google marketing agency, they kind of do this like cut and paste strategy for everybody. Like no matter if you have a product or service-based business, they understand that niching down to location is a much easier way to rank. So for example, I like to use real people, but I can't think of anybody in the audience right now. But let's say you have let's say you sell press-on nails. Okay, that's a good one. It's a product base, and yes, you can sell this all across the world, all across the globe. You can hack www.glampressonnails.com, and we sell to everybody. If someone searches press-on nails, what's the likelihood you're gonna rank? It's very, very low, okay? Now, if someone's in San Diego, right, and they're looking for press-on nails, now if you have glamnails.com/location/San Diego, then you'll be able to win at the Google ranking strategy, because the likelihood of you ranking for a particular city versus the whole wide world is very, very high, especially when you have something a little bit more niche like press on nails. So moral of the story is everybody send Favour some digital coins on this app, because he is giving y'all like all the game for free. That you will have to pay someone like upwards of $1,000 to have them do this for you. And I guess the real thing is that if you have a website, you're kind of already paying for this. This is not something you have to pay extra to get this extra cool feature. It's literally Your website host is going to pick your subdomain for you, that url.com/ whatever. It's usually whatever you name the page. But this is such a waste of real estate when you can customize this, do some keyword research, and really apply some strategy. And I'm telling you right now, I've done this for clients and it has yielded really, really big results. So back to you, Favour.
Thank you, Celeste. You know why I say this and tell people these things for free and just share this information? Because the moment you do this and you start to get it, at some point, yes, it makes sense now. For me, what I've noticed, and it works, and I love to help people, and I love people to see it for themselves, because I'm not going to do it for 8 billion people in the world. So I know that the people who actually get the work done, who actually understand what the work is about, will be the serious people who will actually reach out and actually get this done. And we've done this with consultations, we've done this with content teams, we've done this with tech teams, training teams. So I've been able to talk about this, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I'm telling you all these things for free, imagine what you'll be paying for. Imagine what you'll be investing in. Now there's a whole strategy, a whole workflow, a whole blueprint that is completely different from this, because anybody can do this. Really, anybody can do this. But when I look at this from what it does when you start hitting those snags, especially when Google starts making core updates, or Microsoft makes a shift, or AI updates something, or something happens within the digital tech space, those links that you have are going to create alters. In other words, they're going to be different things that are going to play into how you show up online. So this is not just one factor. It's not like, okay, if I say URLs like this, now everyone's going to do it, and then we're all going to rank, and then we're all going to win. It's not going to work like that at all. In fact, you'll be more confused, because now you would even know which URL to use, or which keyword to use, or why, because you can't put so many words in a URL to match something. There has to be an intent behind it, and then there has to be a structure that flows. So everything has a structure in play, and I love that when people are able to see these things clearly, they're able to understand it, and then from there, I'm like, okay, now that you get it, let's focus on why it's not showing up on Google, why it's not showing up on ChatGPT, why it's not showing up on this type of platform, because that's not where that structure is in place, and that's completely different. So I look at it from a long-term educational perspective, because I wouldn't want to be talking about these things forever. In fact, that's why I ever brought this room up, because I always talk about uniform resource locators, and people are like, huh? And then I'm like, okay, URLs. They're like, okay. And I'm like, if I don't say the URLs, you wouldn't even understand it, because it's foreign, and not everybody understands this tech term. So I love to be very specific into showing these details, and it makes sense. How I even got to bring this room up, just for context, is I went to Apple Podcasts. Thank you, Jasmine. I went to Apple Podcasts and I typed in uniform resource locators. I literally typed that on Apple Podcasts, so you can try it yourself and see. And when I typed it, there were 2 episodes that I did. I believe one in 24, I think another one in 25 or 23. And I did those a long time ago. And when I did them, I was talking about, and of course, there are other episodes that are out there. And I noticed that there's no one talking about this. We're all talking SEO, AI, tech, all these things, but nobody's talking about the actual root. And that's when I was like, nah, I can't just watch people go like this, because it just wouldn't sit well with me, knowing that these are the things that if you were to know better, now you'll be investing yourself or your website or anything that you do for a better tomorrow, by actually getting to see what you can actually do within 4 weeks, within 12 weeks. And like you said, Celeste, too, people are paying thousands of dollars for this, and at least $1,500 and above is what you'd be paying somebody for something like this. $1,000 is if you get something good, but you'll be pushing it, because now the way it goes, it's anything above that. And when you start looking at how it's applied to your website, it's completely different, right? Your website could be on Shopify, you could be on Squarespace, you could be on Wix, you could be on WordPress. Those things are going to be so different. The tactics are going to be different. The setup is going to be different. The framework is going to be different. So you have to deal with it even in a completely complexitive way. I'll even say it this way too. When you look at Elementor, Divi, cornerstone, right? These are ways you can build on WordPress. They have different elements that actually build into your site. And that could also get very technical if someone doesn't know what it is. So creating URLs is completely different from how it's set up in different codes. And for those who are hearing this for the first time, a URL is a uniform resource locator, and it is a type of a URI. Now, there's something called a URI, right? And I'm coming to your question, you mentioned Soma. I'll come to that real quick and address that too. Thank you for that comment. There's a URI, right? And this is perfectly to what you just said too, Soma. A URI is a uniform resource identifier. And there are two types of URIs. There's a URL and there's a URN. I don't want to get this complicated. I just want to tell you guys so that when you understand these things, I'm not bluffing, fluffing. I'm telling you the real sauce so that you guys can check it out, do your own research, and then we can talk about it. Jasmine, you're giving me the eyes. When you look at it from this perspective, you see that it's a completely different ballgame. A URI is a uniform resource identifier, right? What does this mean? It's a sequence of characters that is used to identify a resource, right? And that is distinguished by their name or location on the internet. And a uniform resource name is a URN, right? And a URN is technically something like, let's say, let me give you an example. Yeah, like ISBN, right? For books, right? When you're an author of a book, you have an ISBN, right? I'm also in the entertainment business industry. And I'm a self-taught drummer. I'm also into music, and I'm also able to produce and, get into different facets. So when I look at codes, I look at them differently. So when I'm looking at music, I'm like, okay, you can have UPC codes, right? These are codes that are focused on your album, your royalties. When it comes to Nielsen, when it comes to your BMI, your ASCAP, anything that's going into your business side of entertainment, when it comes to showbiz, right? That's different. So those are URNs. Those are examples of URNs, ISBN, UPC, all these codes. These are the codes that are able to now let you know and identify, okay, these are different things, right? When you have these names are coded or encrypted so that it makes or matches what the intent is for by search. So if you now look at this long term and you see that a URN is a uniform resource name, this is a type of a URI, which is a uniform resource identifier that identifies a resource by a global, unique, persistent name. So if I say ISBN, I'm in the US, somebody can say ISBN in the UK, someone can say ISBN in Japan, in Singapore, in Brazil, and we're all saying the same thing. ISBN, we know that's a book, right? When we all say URL, that is an identifier, right? It's a type of identifier. So that is a link, right? It's a uniform resource locator. The locator is a link. So these things are there for a reason. They're there to give us structure. And Soma says the term hyperlocal was popular years ago. That's true. Now, when you look at the way content is also being materialized in 2026, it's completely different. Google made a core update in February, right? They called it Discover Core Update. What does that mean? That means that all content on Google, when it comes to search operators, right? All of them are going to be having localized content prioritized. Meaning that if you have a local business, if you operate locally, if you have a website, if you do something on social media and you're doing it locally, regionally, nationally, globally, from a local standpoint, that's where you can also gain more traffic. You can also gain more visibility and ultimately gain more brand awareness when you have that in form of a website, because it's on Google, of course. So that's something to keep in mind. There was an update, by the way, guys, just to give you all a quick update. Google just announced not too long ago, just so that you guys know how important these things are. Google just announced not too long ago, I think this was on May 7th, about FAQs going. FAQs going. In other words, there's a way Google FAQ schema, which is just another way of talking about how results come up on search. They can stay on your pages, but it's not going to be visible when it comes to Google and actually creating more content for you. So what they're doing is pretty much depreciating the FAQ rich results, right? And that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So people say, oh yeah, put FAQs here, put FAQs here. Yeah, I'm looking at it online right now. Yeah, it says May 7th. Yeah, Google will remove the FAQ. I'm literally reading it right now. Google will remove the FAQ search appearance filter, the rich result report, and the rich results test support in June, right? And then teams pulling FAQ data from the Search Console API have until August to adjust those calls. That is news today. That happened, I believe, anytime in the last week. So when this is happening, and this was announced May 7th, and we're talking about June to August, that means people are getting time to get all these things together. So when Google makes an announcement like this, I know that it's not going to take effect fully 100% until when it's completed, which now could be August. So that means whoever is creating content and we're putting all these things on FAQs and AI, and it makes sense because before AI, we had people also ask. We had all these FAQs that are coming in, and that's what was helping people to get more results. Now, AI is doing all those frequently asked questions or what people are also asking. So things are changing, right? So when this is happening, people are going to be like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Do we change? Do we do this? For me, I'm not moved because I know that whatever this means is that it's going to be a leg up. It's going to be a layup for anyone who's actually using what we call entity SEO and creating brand and non-brand awareness for their businesses so they're not depending on frequently asked questions only. You can still do it. It's still good for the internet because that's what AI is going to scrape, but it's not going to be a factor or consideration for ranking, which would be different. So just to let you guys know that for your information, because these are the things that I always like to mention so that even when you're hearing it or being aware of it, it's not just going to be, oh, that's all about it. No, there has to be something that you can actually think about when you are making this intentional decisions for your website, for your businesses, or for anything that you're creating long term. So it's important to think about these things today so that tomorrow you're able to now materialize this thing for a better result. So I'm glad that we talked about uniform resource locators today, and URLs are not anything but just a system, a way of allowing your website to actually show up on the internet for the right reasons within products and services that you provide, which include your name, your business, your title, your location, and other things that are miscellaneous to your brand. So does anyone have any question? We'd love to hear from you. Jasmine, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts? What's your big takeaway? Let's talk about it.
This is really useful. This is really cool to know because I didn't know any of this. And it just reinforces that I get to focus on the writing and leave everything else to you. So I'm very excited to be able to hand that off. But I do have a question. I don't know if you're going to circle back to it, but about the meta titles. So I didn't know if that was coming up or if you had just mentioned it.
Yeah, for the meta titles, I just mentioned it because I wanted to just look at the URLs today. But definitely the meta titles, the meta descriptions, those are things to also consider. And that's what's going to enhance your URL because your URL is what people click on. That's what they see. And for example, if you look at the link above, you click the link above, that link where it says AI SEO marketing services and resources, save this link. When you click on this link, it will take you to the URL of this page. Now, the meta title is what you're reading in the room. The meta description is what you would read if this was being seen on Google. So the meta title is what most people read, and that's where they take action on. So that way, when they read the title and they click it, the intention is to save it. The intention is to do something with what they've been told so that if they actually want to take that action, then it's helping them. So that's why I would put that in the meta title. Like for you, Jasmine, if you were to now have about Jasmine Renee, then that means the meta title will now have your name there too, but it will come in a way that it's readable, it's scannable, and it's understandable. It's not just text, but it's context that is actually linked back to your URL and still makes sense for your website. So that's how we can be able to differentiate the two as well. But we'll definitely talk about that soon.
Okay, yeah, awesome. Because I normally just put the same thing for everything, but I guess what I'm getting out of it is that that's a waste of like digital real estate. So I need to really like hone that in and use all of it to the full extent of what I can. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad we talked about this today, and it was definitely something I wanted to just break down, give you analysis of, and then, take action on that. If this is something that you'd like us to do and build on your site and make possible, and also instead of you guessing or getting to know what to put there, we can actually do the research and development study and show you exactly how we found those results so that we can actually use that as a forecast to now get you to the right results that you need within the next couple of months and quarters that you need for your website and your branding. So I would say it this way, actually, if you need any website updated, audited, scaled, built, scanned, anything that's going to be needed to help your marketing, you can reach out to me. If you'd like some SEO marketing services that will help your business grow and also give you that visibility you need in 2026, you can also reach out to me here. You can come to me on LinkedIn, connect to me in my DM. I'm connected with about close to 20,000 people. And we connect also here. If you click the link above and you sign up to the newsletter, you'll be redirected to my calendar and we can get on a call, talk about it, and make sure that you have this information in your inbox, because we can talk about these things all day, but if we don't take action and implement them, then it'll be hard to actually see how to take those next steps forward. So I always love connecting with you for 30 minutes. We get to talk about it. Before we even get on that 30-minute call, I would have sent you a 5-minute video. A 5-minute video. Thank you, Sif. A 5-minute video would be what you'd watch before we spend 30 minutes together. So technically you're spending 35 minutes with me, complimentary. So that means the first 5 minutes you watch the video that I send you that's going to tell you about your website. I'll record something, customize it, send it over to you, email it to you. You can watch it at your free time, during your downtime. And then when we get on the call, we'll talk about how we can implement and save what you have on your site to actually represent what you need for your business. And that way we can save you time, money, and energy. And that way we can focus on results, and that can take it to the next level. So these are things that we do. And that way we can talk about it and have weeks together, either 4 weeks, either 12 weeks, 24 weeks, 52 weeks in the year. That depends on how you want to structure it, but we have that available consultation-wise, implementation-wise, and we can talk about all those details when we talk on a call. And Jasmine says, definitely book in a consultation. Favor's consultations are fire. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Jasmine. And Soma says, appreciate this priceless info. You're welcome. You're welcome. Sometimes you see, like, even my friends are like, Favor, what's going on here? And in my head, I'm like, you know what? Just imagine if what you're getting for free sounds like this. Just imagine what you'd be investing in later on and what you'd be getting for your business long term. And I've seen this happen so many times. And I feel like, when you give freely, you receive freely. And when you give with a good heart, with a good intention, the right people will come. And it's not for anything. It's not for flex. It's not for show. It's not for gra-gra. It's just to show that, hey, guys, this is something that you need to know, because if you're not aware about this, how are we going to talk? How are we going to know? How are we going to make decisions? And sometimes if we don't even have a two-way conversation, there's nowhere we're going. If we can't agree on one thing, we're not going anywhere, and we'd have both wasted each other's time. And I don't want that on me. So I want to make sure that when you see it and make sense of it, that when you make your investment, you know exactly what you're paying attention to, because you're paying for something that will serve you back and give you back your dividends long term when you think about the amount of time you create. And just before we go, the half-life, shelf life, the lifespan of a link, especially a blog, because a blog is usually what is considered within. But when you now consider this across the websites, and because these are all links on your pages, the lifespan of a URL, a uniform resource locator, is 24 months. One link is 24 months. So imagine the number of links on your website. Thank you, Coach Z. Appreciate you for the coins. Appreciate you, Jasmine and Luann, too, for the love. You would see 24 months out. And just go online and check it out. You will see this right now. Search anything on the websites. Go to Google specifically. Search something, whatever you're looking for, and you look for the date stamp. Just look out for the date stamp that's grayed out. And you're going to see that date stamp is going to say something 2024. You might see month, date 2023, 2026, 2025, but you'll see at least 2024 somewhere. So that tells you that the lifespan of a blog can be that long. I saw something today when I was looking at a client's page and we're looking at her competitors, and I saw that there was a page that was ranking and it was published in 2024. I may say modified in 2024, but it was first published, I think it was 1999 or something like that. It was a long time ago. And I was like, you see, someone's going to click on a link. Sorry, 2019. I have a photographic memory, so I was trying to pick a picture. I knew there was a 9 in there. It was 2019. Yeah, it was a 2019 link, specifically 2019 in January. It said 2019/01. So I knew that, okay, that's January 2019, but it was modified for 2024. And I told her, you can see, this is what we're both looking at the same screen. And I was like, see what I'm looking at right here? This is exactly what it means when you think about a 24-month span. So when you think about your websites and you think about how long it can outlive your content, people will be finding for your content in January, in February, in March, in April. Before you know it, we're in December. And people are still searching for you, and you've not spent one kobo, not 1 cent, not $1 on your content. What you spent was time. You may have invested in it because you had to do it with someone, but what it has given back to you over time is traffic, engagement, visibility, credibility, and actual business that's actually running for you long term. And I see this countless times with businesses, and that's why Yelp is doing so well, notoriously because of what they've done, and they're also able to do that as an example. So there are many companies that do this, and you need to do this for your website too. It's either going to get it done for you or you're going to do it yourself. Either way, it got to get done. If it's not done, then I guess whoop-de-doo. So at this point, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited we had a great time today. It was really exciting. I wanted to come and do this in the evening, but I'll definitely do more rooms like this. So thank you, Jasmine, for being here. Luann, Coach Z, Sif, LA, Melanie, thank you for being here as well. Miss Erica, appreciate you for the love too. Luann, and I'll definitely be here again. If you want more information like this, I send out emails and I send them very detailed. So if you want to catch those emails too, click the link above and this will take you directly to my link. Sign up for the newsletter, be part of the community, and we connect to a lot of people so that you can also be part of this information. You don't miss out on stuff like this that will help you grow. So the more you know, the more you don't know, and the more you want to know over time. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Have a blessed night, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next room. Take care. Bye for now. Welcome to season 13, where you listen, you live, you learn, and you earn. A lot of information is always given on this show. So we're in the 13th season. God has brought us so far, and I just want to thank God for the opportunity to connect with you today on such quiet, calm space like this. So thank you for listening. Know that Jesus loves you, and know that you can always connect with me on the We Don't Play Podcast show. More specifically, go to wedon'tplaypodcast.com, or you can go to playinc.online. That is PLAYINC.online, and get in touch with me. Let's get on a call. Let's talk. Let's focus on SEO for 2026 and beyond. So until we meet in the next episode, God bless you. Jesus loves you. Stay hydrated, stay safe, and stay blessed, and stay tuned. for now.